Today we're going to be talking about proof of concept, but first, this episode is brought to you by PureVPN. For more information, head over to tqaweekly.com/PureVPN. My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly, and in terms of technology, when proof of concept code or methodology is applied to electronics, computers, hardware, and software, it's usually through the physical add-on or a code implementation or a mix of both that has the potential of being a proven means at obtaining a desired and reproducible effect. What am I talking about? Well, first of all, let's talk about proof of concept. Proof of concept experimentation, which by the way exists outside of just technology, is important. It is how we determine if anything that we use or may use has security issues and health issues and all kinds of other different issues that we may not fathom as it is. Without these tests, we wouldn't know that pacemakers, for example, could be exploited and that programs like TeamViewer could be gamed. And if you're using TeamViewer, just so that you know, you can update it to the next one. It is apparently already fixed. And on that specific thing, proof of concept code and methodology can also be used to see if a reproducible problem is in fact solved. One of the easiest proof of concept methods that we have around is SQL injection, so SQL injection. And it has a lot of code references that we can use to test if our websites are done correctly. So it is one of those ways where we can test if programmers have coded correctly, if they have certain issues that need to be resolved, and ultimately test to see if those issues have been resolved in those websites. Now, there's something important to note about proof of concept though, and it's ethics and morality. One can argue that the public should know. However, a lot of people seem to forget that the public also includes those bad actors called malicious hackers that would readily exploit the code and methodology in order to game all kinds of hardware and software in order to make botnets or force people to pay using ransomware and a whole host of other issues that could actually work against everybody. So it's usually more ethical and moral to contact the manufacturer so that they can themselves solve the issue. Not to mention that a lot of manufacturers out there actually pay people for this kind of information. So it's probably a lot more of an incentive for you to go up to these Googles and Facebooks and other companies and tell them there's a problem that is reproducible, explain how it was done, and maybe make a payday out of it while still remaining ethical in the process. And also, one of the most dangerous outcomes that can come from just releasing the information is that dark side that we want to stay away from. So, on top of all this, the only legitimate cause for public notification when a developer absolutely refuses to acknowledge and patch the issue is that when a developer actually absolutely ignores your proof of concept. If your proof of concept shows that there's a dangerous result and is reproducible and can seriously harm people in many ways, including their data, then that is the only time, once they have failed to do their due diligence, that you should morally and ethically put out the code. Because at this point, that will force them into the corner to have to actually fix, because ultimately public opinion is very important. And make sure that in these cases, you might want to get a lawyer before doing that and make sure that you have actual records of your communications with these developers before they have failed to do their job. And finally, the only reason a developer would agree to fix the issue is reproducibility. Nothing can be considered proof of concept or a flaw if it only happens once. That makes reproducibility the only means by which you can get a developer to acknowledge there's an issue and then have them solve it, unless what you just proved is a feature. Now, I know proof of concept code that a lot of developers out there trying to pen test other websites, software and hardware seems to be like, oh, I just caught some other thing. However, unless you're fully aware of the entire architecture of how that software is supposed to work, and also all of the APIs that they may have functioning, there is a possibility that you discover a feature and not a bug. And it's something that you need to keep in mind. If you discover a feature that's not actually publicized, it may be because it's not announced yet or part of an API you are not aware of. And at that point, the only thing that we should be making sure is once you get into that so-called feature, just make sure that there is no data leakage that's unsecured. And speaking of unsecured data leakage, if you're looking for a VPN service that is easy to use, works as an in-browser add-on on Android, Apple devices, and so much more, then look no further than PureVPN, a service that does not log your traffic and offers a 7-day money-back guarantee. Pricing starts at $245 a month, and of course you can check them out by heading over to tqaweekly.com/purevpn. If you like this episode, like it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those that you think can benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, for everything else. And if you want to make this show better, go to patreon.com/tqaweekly and become a patron today. Patrons enjoy these episodes 24 to 48 hours in advance of everyone else. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.